Prepare to be amazed by the heartwarming story of a rescue cat who finds an unexpected friend in a playful dog. Witness their unique bond blossom, reminding us of the magic of friendship. The shelter was loud. It was a place of echoing barks, of desperate meows. Liam walked past the cages. His footsteps felt heavy. Each cage held a story of abandonment, a story of loss. He was looking for a quiet soul, a companion for his big, goofy dog, Barney. He saw the dogs first. They jumped at the wire mesh. Their tails wagged with frantic hope. Their eyes pleaded, "Pick me, love me, take me home." Liam's heart ached for every single one. But his home already had a dog. A wonderful, happy dog. He was here for a cat. He moved to the cattery. The air changed. It was warmer, filled with the low hum of purrs and the sharp scent of antiseptic. Cats lounged on blankets. They stretched in slivers of sunlight. Some rubbed against the bars of their enclosures, their voices trilling a welcome. They were salespeople, advertising their affection. And then he saw him, in the very last cage, tucked in the darkest corner, a small gray cat. He was curled into a tight ball, a knot of fur and fear. His fur was dull and matted in places. His body was thin. You could see the sharp ridges of his spine. The shelter card was clipped to the door. It just said Milo, found as a stray. Estimated age, 2 years. Liam crouched down. He spoke softly. "Hey there, Milo." The cat did not move, but 2 large green eyes opened. They were not pleading eyes. They were not angry eyes. They were windows into a world of pure terror. They watched Liam without blinking, expecting a blow, a loud noise, a reason to run. There was nowhere to run. The shelter volunteer approached. "Oh, that one," she said, her voice laced with pity. "He's been here for weeks. He won't let anyone touch him. He just hides. He was in bad shape when he came in. We think he lived on the streets for a long time." Liam looked at the other cats, the friendly ones, the easy ones, the ones who would slide into a home without a ripple. Then he looked back at Milo. He saw the tremor in the small body. He saw the deep, settled fear that had become the cat's entire world. Something in Liam's chest shifted. He didn't want an easy cat. He wanted to give a home to the one who needed it most. "I'll take him," Liam said. The car ride home was silent, except for the sound of Milo's fear. It was a low, guttural growl that vibrated through the pet carrier. Liam didn't play the radio. He drove slowly, carefully. He spoke to the carrier in a low, soothing voice. "It's okay, little guy. We're almost there. You're going to be safe now." He doubted the cat understood. He doubted the cat believed in safety. Inside the house, Liam set the carrier down in the living room. He opened the latch. He backed away. He sat on the floor, making himself small. He waited. Nothing happened for a long time. Then, the door creaked open. A nose sniffed the air. A gray head appeared, ears flat against its skull. The green eyes darted around the room. They scanned every shadow, every piece of furniture. They saw 100 threats. Then Milo moved. He was not a cat walking. He was a gray blur, a streak of silent panic. He shot across the wooden floor. He dove under the large leather sofa. And then, silence. Liam sighed. He knew this would be hard. He placed a small bowl of food and a bowl of water near the sofa. He put a litter box in the far corner of the room. He didn't try to coax Milo out. He understood. The world had taught this cat that hiding was survival. Liam's job was to teach him a new lesson. He just had to be patient. The house was quiet. Too quiet. That was because the source of all noise was currently out. The back door burst open. A whirlwind of golden fur and happy panting exploded into the room. Barney was home from his walk with the dog sitter. He was 100 pounds of pure, unfiltered joy. His tail was a weapon of mass happiness, thudding against furniture and door frames. His tongue lolled out of the side of his mouth in a goofy grin. He was the complete opposite of the creature hiding under the sofa. He was sunlight. Milo was a deep shadow. Barney skidded to a halt on the rug. He sniffed the air. His happy-go-lucky demeanor vanished. His body went still. His nose twitched. There was a new smell in his house. A small, furry, scared smell. He lowered his head. He crept forward, his movements slow and deliberate. He stopped a few feet from the sofa. He whined softly. A question. "Who are you?" The answer came from the darkness. A sound like a lit fuse. A low, menacing hiss. It was a sound full of teeth and claws and desperation. Barney took a step back. He looked at Liam, his brown eyes wide with confusion. He had never been hissed at in his life. Everything and everyone loved Barney. He was a good boy. Why did the new smell not want to be his friend? Liam knelt and stroked Barney's big head. Easy, boy. He's just scared. We have to be gentle. The first few days were a study in contrasts. Milo remained under the sofa. He was a ghost. The only proof of his existence was the slow disappearance of food during the night, the telltale clumps in the litter box. He was a creature of the dark, moving only when the house was still and silent. Barney, on the other hand, was a creature of the light. He lived his life out loud. He played with his squeaky toys. He chased sunbeams on the floor. He followed Liam from room to room, his claws clicking a happy rhythm on hardwood. But Barney was also aware. He was deeply aware of the silent, fearful presence in his home. His usual boisterous play was a little more subdued. He would often stop mid-pounce and look toward the sofa. He seemed to be listening for something. His doggy brain, simple and good, had decided on a course of action. He was going to win the new creature over. One afternoon, Barney was playing with his favorite toy, a worn, plush squirrel that had lost most of its stuffing. He would toss it in the air and catch it. He would shake it ferociously. Then, he did something new. He picked up the squirrel. He walked over to the sofa. He gently nudged it under the dusty fringe. Then he backed away. He lay down on the rug, about 10 feet away. He rested his big head on his paws. And he waited. Liam watched from the kitchen doorway, holding his breath. For a long time, there was nothing. Then, from under the sofa, a single, slender gray paw emerged. It was cautious, hesitant. The paw touched the plush squirrel. It patted it once, twice. Then it vanished back into the darkness. Barney's tail gave a single, soft thump on the rug. He didn't move. He just watched. He seemed to understand. This was not a game of chase. This was a game of patience. This became their ritual. Every day, Barney would bring an offering to the sofa. Sometimes it was a squirrel. Sometimes it was a squeaky ball. Once, it was one of Liam's socks. He would leave his gift and retreat to a safe distance. He was not asking for anything in return. He was just giving. Liam saw other small signs. One evening, he was watching television. Barney was asleep at his feet. Out of the corner of his eye, Liam saw movement. Milo's head was peeking out from behind the arm of the sofa. He wasn't hiding completely. He was observing. His green eyes were fixed on the sleeping dog. There was no fear in them, only a deep, consuming curiosity. When Milo noticed Liam looking, he disappeared again. But it was progress. A tiny crack in the wall of fear. The days bled into a week. Then two. The space was changing. Milo no longer lived exclusively under the sofa. He had discovered the top of the tall bookshelf. It was his castle, a high perch from which he could survey his kingdom. He was safe up there. Nothing could reach him. From his vantage point, he watched Barney. He watched the big dog eat his food. He watched him drink messily from his water bowl, splashing everywhere. He watched him nap in pools of sunlight, his legs twitching as he dreamed of chasing rabbits. The fear was slowly being replaced by fascination. This giant, noisy creature was not a threat. It was clumsy. It was loud, but it was also gentle. It had never once tried to chase him. It had never barked at him. It only brought him gifts and watched him from afar with soft, kind eyes. One afternoon, a breakthrough. Barney was fast asleep on the big rug in the center of the room. He was snoring softly, a low rumble that vibrated through the floor. Liam watched as Milo descended from his bookshelf fortress. He moved with a new confidence. His steps were deliberate, not panicked. He crept across the floor. He stopped a few feet from the sleeping dog. He sniffed the air. Barney's scent was everywhere in this house. But this was different. This was close. Milo took another step, and another. He was now standing beside the mountain of golden fur. He lowered his head and sniffed Barney's tail. Barney's ear twitched in his sleep. Milo froze, ready to bolt, but the dog did not wake. Emboldened, Milo walked the perimeter of the sleeping giant. He was an explorer charting a new continent. He finally found a spot near Barney's back. He hesitated for a moment. Then he curled himself into a small, tight ball. He was not touching the dog. There was a respectable 6 inches of space between them. But they were sharing the same rug. They were sharing the same patch of afternoon sun. Liam felt a lump form in his throat. He quietly picked up his phone and took a picture. This was a moment to remember. the beginning of something. The invisible line between them began to dissolve. Milo started coming down from his bookshelf more often. He would sit on the arm of the chair while Liam and Barney watched a movie. He still kept his distance, but he was present. He was part of the room. Barney's gentle persistence had an effect on Milo's confidence. The dog was a bridge to the wider world of the house, a world Milo had been too scared to explore. One sunny morning, Liam opened the back door to let Barney out into the fenced yard. Barney trotted out happily, his nose to the ground. Liam was about to close the door when he saw a flash of gray. Milo was sitting at the threshold. He looked at the bright, green world outside. He looked at Barney, who was now chasing a butterfly. He looked back at Liam. His fear was still there, a flicker in his eyes. But there was something else, too. Curiosity. "It's okay," Liam said softly. "You can go look." Milo took a tentative step onto the porch. His paws touched the warm wood. He froze, his whole body tense. Barney, sensing his presence, stopped chasing the butterfly. He turned and looked at Milo. He didn't bound over. He just sat down on the grass and waited. He was a furry, golden anchor of safety. Milo took another step, and another. Soon he was on the grass. The soft blades tickled his paws. He sniffed a dandelion. He watched a bee buzz past. He was a cat, discovering the world for the first time. Barney stayed close, a silent bodyguard. He seemed to understand that his job was to make Milo feel safe. That day, they spent an hour in the garden together. Milo explored every bush and every flower pot. Barney followed him at a respectful distance. When a loud car passed by on the street, Milo flinched and started to run. Barney moved to stand between him and the fence, blocking the sound, and Milo instantly calmed down. He was learning to trust, not just Liam, but this big, gentle dog who had shown him nothing but kindness. The change in Milo was astonishing. It was like watching a flower bloom in slow motion. The timid, terrified creature who had hidden under the sofa for a week was gone. In his place was a new cat, a bold cat, a playful cat. The bond between him and Barney was now solid. It was a tangible thing. Liam would come home from work and find them not just in the same room, but together, really together. One evening, he walked in to find them both on Barney's big, circular dog bed. It was a space Milo would never have dared to enter before. Barney was lying on his side. Milo was curled up against his warm belly, fast asleep. His tiny gray body rose and fell with the dog's deep breaths. He was purring, a loud, rumbling sound of pure contentment that filled the quiet room. Their friendship blossomed into a beautiful, unspoken language. They developed games. Milo would hide behind a chair and pounce on Barney's tail as he walked by. Barney, in turn, would pretend to be startled. Then he would bow his head low and chase Milo in a slow, lumbering game of tag. Milo would dart under tables and around chairs, his movements quick and graceful. Barney would follow, clumsy and joyful. The grooming started. It was the ultimate sign of acceptance in the animal world. Liam watched, mesmerized, as Milo sat patiently while Barney gave his head a few big, slobbery licks. Barney's tongue was almost as big as Milo's entire head. Milo didn't flinch. He leaned into it. He closed his eyes. After the dog was done, Milo would sometimes reach up and start to groom Barney's nose with his own tiny, raspy tongue. It was a partnership, a give and take. Milo's personality, once buried under layers of trauma, was now on full display. He was mischievous. He learned to knock pens off Liam's desk, watching with fascination as Barney tried to catch them. He was affectionate. He would now jump onto Liam's lap in the evenings, purring and kneading his blanket. He would even greet Liam at the door when he came home, rubbing against his legs alongside Barney. They were a team, a welcoming committee of fur and paws. He was no longer just Milo, the rescue cat. He was Milo, Barney's best friend. He was Milo, the king of the bookshelf, the terror of the garden insects, the small gray shadow that was no longer afraid of the light. One Saturday afternoon, Liam sat on the sofa, a book open in his lap. He wasn't reading. He was just watching them. Milo and Barney were wrestling on the rug. It was a gentle, playful tangle of gray and gold. Milo would bat at Barney's nose with soft paws, his claws carefully sheathed. Barney would mouth at Milo gently, his big jaws careful not to hurt his tiny friend. Liam thought back to that day at the shelter. He remembered the frightened little ball of fur in the back of the cage. The cat that no one else wanted. The one the volunteer called a hard case. He looked at the confident, happy cat playing on his floor. The fear was gone from his eyes. It had been replaced with a playful gleam. He realized that he hadn't rescued Milo. Not really. He had just opened a door. He had provided a safe space. The real rescue mission had been carried out by a goofy golden retriever with a big heart and endless patience. Barney hadn't tried to fix Milo. He had just been his friend. He had simply offered his quiet, steady companionship day after day, until Milo learned that he was finally safe enough to be himself. Friendship, Liam thought, was a powerful kind of magic. It didn't need words. It didn't need to make sense. It could be found in the most unlikely of places. Between a man and his dog. Between a man and his cat. And, most miraculously, between a 100-pound, joyful dog and a tiny, once-broken cat. He looked around his living room. It was no longer a quiet house. It was a home, filled with the soft sounds of playing, the thump of a happy tail, and the loud, rumbling purr of a little gray cat who had finally found his courage. Liam smiled. He wouldn't trade this beautiful, chaotic, loving life for anything. There were so many other Milos out there, waiting in cages, hiding in corners, waiting for someone to open a door and for a friend, no matter how unlikely, to show them the way into the light.